So I'm Lerna Graceffo. I'm a senior at St. Peter's University. Can you guys state your names and then also spell your name?
John Sullivan, Sullivin.
And I'm Lauren Sullivan. That's Lauren, capital Sullivin.
Great. So today's May 2nd, 2021, and we're here today to commemorate the St. Peter's University 150th anniversary by interviewing members of our community about our school's history. So welcome. I'm really glad I have the opportunity to speak with you guys. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for volunteering.
Can you guys, whichever one of you wants to go first, just start by telling me a little bit about how you grew up or your childhood?
I'll start. I grew up down the Jersey Shore, right by Sandy Hook. I'm one of three. I have an older sister, a younger brother. My father was a correctional officer at East Jersey State Prison, and my mother for most of my childhood was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, and I'm from Belleville, which is not far from Jersey City, just over the river in Essex County. And I was raised by both parents. I have two sisters younger than me. My middle sister also went to St. Peter's College, and she was there at the same time I was, so we overlapped for 2 years. That was fun.
That's cool.
College graduates, they went to Seton Hall, so they also had a Catholic university experience.
Nice. And so what led both of you to St. Peter's?
What led me to St. Peter's is I went to a small Catholic high school. I knew I wanted to go to a Catholic institution of higher education. I also wanted to go to a smaller school. Also growing up down to the Jersey Shore, I wasn't exposed much to urban lifestyles. So I wanted to have that experience. And my best friend happened to be recruited by St. Peter's for athletics. And I ended up going on a tour with him one day, and I really fell in love with the campus, and there we go.
So when did you, what years did you attend?
I graduated in 97, so was it 94? 93, 94 through 97.
I came in 94, yeah.
And what about you, Lauren?
Well, I was first introduced to St. Peter's by my high school guidance counselor. And St. Peter's had a program, I think they still have it. It was called Summer Scholars or something. And
yeah, we still have it.
Yeah, you had to apply, and if you got accepted, you could take one summer course as a high schooler, and you would get a grade, and you would get the college credit for it. And my guidance counselor the summer in between my sophomore and junior year suggested I apply, and I was accepted. So I took a summer course, and I did the same thing next summer. So I did that for 2 summers in a row. And so that was my first exposure to the campus. And I really loved the urban environment. I didn't know I was gonna want an urban college, but when I got there, I really, really liked it. And I think I liked the independence that came, I took a city subway. It was a little trolley to the PATH train, and then walked. And when you're 15 or 16, that seems really cool. So that experience. And so then I think having been part of that, they, invited me to apply early, and I did, and they offered me a little bit of scholarship money. That was really helpful. Finances were, a big piece of the decision that we made. And so it kind of felt like a no-brainer to go someplace that I had a good experience and I could afford to be at, and had a lot of, what I was looking for.
Yeah. And what, did you attend the same year?
So I'm a year younger. So I was there from 94, and then I graduated in 98.
And what did you guys study while you were there?
I was a political science major, and I minored in philosophy. I knew I wanted to attend law school, so I used that as the springboard for law school.
I don't think I knew you minored in philosophy.
I didn't.
It's so philosophical.
I could definitely see how that would help with law school. Right. That's a good combo. And what about you?
I majored in psychology. I knew psychology was something I wanted to study. I was interested in a helping profession, and I was interested in the sciences, and but I knew I wasn't cut out for like med school or anything like that. I wasn't drawn to, you know, those sort of things. But psychology was a nice blend of the science and the helping, and so yeah, I studied that. I didn't have a minor. I just majored.
That's cool. I feel like more people should probably do that. So were you guys like involved on campus?
Yeah, we both were heavily involved. I was involved in student government. My junior year, I was a student body president. We also were together involved in the reformation of the service fraternity Alpha Phi Omega on campus, which was co-ed. So those were some of the things we did.
Yeah, so we were the founding brothers, as they say, right? Was that already an organization as we reopened it?
Yeah, we reopened it.
Ah, I didn't know it was there before. Yeah.
Wow.
That was a big one. That was really fun.
You did campus ministry stuff.
I did I don't know if they're still doing this, a really cool trip to Mexico, Nueva Rosita, Mexico, with the campus program. And it was a service project, but it was more just like a cultural immersion. I don't feel like I helped anyone all that much, although we did some stuff. It was more like a benefit, I think, to me to live in this. It was like a poor rural town, and we stayed with families there. And that was a really mind expanding experience. So I was grateful for that opportunity.
That's where you got the cross, right?
Yeah, I have a little cross still hanging in my car. It hangs from the mirror of my car. We visited a prison there. The prisoners would make crosses out of beads and sell them for $1. And I still have mine. In my now it's hanging.
Wow, that's amazing.
I wasn't driving a minivan then. I was also involved in Arcus. I loved the theater productions there. I was very excited for that opportunity. I loved theater in high school, but in high school there were only musicals, and I can't sing or carry a tune really like at all. So I was so excited to be at St. Peter's, where they had drama that wasn't music based. They had some music based stuff too, but there was opportunities to do other things. So I had a lot of fun and met a lot of friends doing that. Yeah, and I did student government and a bunch of stuff. I felt like there was so much to do. It was fun.
Yeah, you guys were busy. So how did you guys, like, when did you guys meet?
I signed up to be a security guard at Whalen Hall. And so why meet the incoming freshman? And
We met.
this is how I met her.
Yes.
Wow.
And I think that when you were reforming Alpha Phi Omega, that's how I really got to know you. Like,
Right.
I think I was inspired by your leadership.
Something like that.
And so after you met, you started working together on like recreating this service fraternity, right?
Right.
Yeah, John took the
And
really like executive, but you were really taking the lead on that. I sort of tagged along and helped where I could a little bit, but yeah, there was a nice group of students, and it was pretty active. I want to say, how many members were in the beginning? At least
20.
20, I would say, at least. And we'd go to conferences and we do service projects in Jersey City, and it was a good fraternity. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, that's really cool. Especially that you guys got involved in like the city as a whole too. I feel like the campus should definitely do more stuff like that now.
Yeah.
So what kind of like larger societal issues were like taking place while you were at St. Peter's, and did you see them impact the campus community at all?
You know, one of the biggest things, I guess, the most maybe notorious, was the O.J. Simpson criminal trial was going on.
Oh,
And it still goes to show back then the racial discord that was going on in the country, and unfortunately we're still in the midst of it today.
mm-hmm.
Lauren and I were in McIntyre Lounge and watched the verdict come down.
That was the most people I've ever seen in McIntyre Lounge. It was wall to wall people watching this verdict.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
That's crazy. So what was the general reaction on campus to the verdict?
I believe the majority of the people in the room that we were in thought it was a just result.
Yeah.
I think there was an element of, the whole idea with the racial discord that was going on. St. Peter's being an urban campus, really servicing people from minority communities, first generation, college students. I think it really had an impact on probably our campus more so than some other larger campuses that are less socioeconomic and racially diverse.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
was thinking about that question too and trying to remember back what was going on. I feel like we were sort of living in our own world a little bit. But one thing that stuck out was that it was pre 9/11. So the world was like a very different place. And, I didn't take that in at the time, but I remember one of our first dates, it was Valentine's Day. We went to Newark Airport and just to grab dinner and people watch. And we would go from gate to gate and watch flights come in and people get reunited and hug. And that's something we would never be allowed to do now, just walk around the airport and walk up to all the different gates and everything. So that things like that changed after 9/11. And the other thing that came to my mind about this was the war in Bosnia at the time. So my freshman year, I didn't know anybody coming into St. Peter's. So I asked to be assigned to a random roommate. And they assigned me to a girl who was from Sarajevo. And there was terrible war in the country at that time. And so she needed to leave the country to pursue her education. She spoke very good English considering it. I think she was just learning it as she went. But, that really also sort of broadened my worldview. I don't think I had known anything about Bosnia before walking into St. Peter's. And now I had this girl from the other side of the world. She was a wonderful roommate. We haven't stayed super close, but we've stayed in touch on social media. And actually, she's back in Bosnia now. She has a daughter. And when the pandemic started last year, the COVID-19 pandemic, she was one of the first people to send me a Facebook message and just say, how's everything on your side of the world? And how are your kids? And, it sounded very similar to what she was going through trying to raise her daughter. So it was this like reunited connection with a world that I probably would have known nothing about really had I not gone to St. Peter's.
That's incredible. I mean, most people definitely have no idea what's going on in Bosnia, like ever. It's such an amazing perspective that you were able to have that.
More intelligently about that war, but I could tell you that she was lovely. And I was grateful.
That's such an amazing connection. So when you guys went to St. Peter's, because I spoke to some people who went to St. Peter's in like the 60s, and they said that when they went there, it really wasn't very diverse. So by the time you guys went there, there was a lot of diversity.
Extremely diverse. I grew up, where I grew up, 95% of my school and the community I grew up in was Caucasian. When I went to St. Peter's, I'm not going to say it was a majority, but there were a number of African-American and Hispanic students. And I think that exposure opened my eyes and helped with my worldview and assisted me, I think, in, my everyday business contacts, that I'm just dealing with, people that live down the shore. I'm dealing with people that work for Fortune 500 companies and that are home insecure. So it just really has helped me develop relationships and interpersonal skills.
Yeah, and I think
definitely.
I don't know where I read this, but St. Peter's has a high percentage, I think, of first generation college students, right? And so I think as the generations progress, that ethnically tends to look different with those first generation college. And I love that about St. Peter's, that it's a place where people are bettering themselves from the generation before. I think that's incredible.
Neither of my parents graduated college. Actually, my father didn't graduate high school. So, and my mother, I think, attended community college for a short period of time, but, I was the first one from my family to go to college.
Wow, that's amazing. I think a lot of people at St. Peter's have a story like that, which is like very powerful. It's not very, I think most colleges, that's not really the case, especially now.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of colleges, kids are coming in as a legacy with generations before them who've been there, right? And yours is a very different vibe from that in a great way. Yeah.
So what do you both do now, and like how would you say that St. Peter's either prepared you for it or shaped you or played a role in it?
I'm a practicing attorney out of Morristown, and the number of graduates from St. Peter's who are my partners, some of them in their 70s, and like myself, some in their 40s. So, St. Peter's has helped me make connections in the legal community, business community. Um, St. Peter's really taught me to think critically and, question, not just authority, but don't just take everything someone says as fact, but, investigate it and, think critically before making decisions.
Yeah. So what kind of law do you do?
I do trial work, civil litigation, courtroom attorney. With the pandemic. I've been doing a lot of these Zooms,
It's weird.
taking depositions, conferences with clients, with judges, and now they want us to start trying cases virtually, which has just started in the past month or two. So I haven't had that opportunity yet, but I have a couple on the horizon that are scheduled for trials. So we'll see what happens there.
Wow, it's amazing that you've been like had the chance to collaborate with so many people from St. Peter's.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like it's such a small community, but they definitely show up like all the time, I feel.
One of the bright bright lights from St. Peter's that I remembered was Ed Reuter, who was the vice president of
He was
student affairs.
first he was the dean of
Right.
student activities, and then he was vice president, I think, by the time we left.
Right. And unfortunately, he recently passed, but we live in town with him. We live in Maplewood, New Jersey, and just by happenstance, he also lived there. But Dean Reuter really got me involved in other civic groups in Jersey City. He was involved with the Hudson County Child Abuse Prevention Center and invited me to join that group. And I was probably on their board for 8 or 9 years. So, I would not have had that experience if it wasn't for Mr. Reuter having, gently prodded me to get involved in some civic groups in Jersey City. And at the time I was practicing law in Jersey City, so it was just a nice fit.
And I think there is
I think
pride and connection. I know, like, with the attorneys you work with who've gone to St. Peter's, like when you have that connection, I think there's sort of this assumed respect that you've got that solid education, there's some grit mixed in there, you've done some good work, and a commitment to service. I think it speaks to everyone's sort of work ethic and respect level, and that comes through.
definitely. And what about you?
So I studied psychology at St. Peter's, and then I went on to get a master's degree in counseling from Montclair State. And now I have actually it's getting much bigger amidst the pandemic. I have a psychotherapy practice, a private practice. I'm a solo practice. Prior to this, I'd worked in inpatient drug rehabs, and I worked at Christ Hospital in Jersey City back when it was Christ Hospital. I think it's something else now, in their outpatient department. And then I branched out onto my own, which afforded me a lot of flexibility when my kids were little, and now they're getting bigger, and the demand for mental health services in this past year is unreal. I'm turning people away, every week, unfortunately. So that's been busy, and St. Peter's has me, I think, really well prepared for that career. one of the things I really liked about the psychology program at St. Peter's was that it was a Bachelor of Science degree. A lot of the colleges offer psychology as a Bachelor of Arts. And I really believe strongly in the foundation, you know, that it is science at the core. And it's a hard science. And I know, you know, it's a science and an art at the same time. It's not quite as easy to quantify as some of the other sciences, but I think it's really important that my practice be research informed, and just the idea of what that means, you know, research informed practice. I got a really strong foundation from the professors at St. Peter's.
Yeah, I didn't realize that that's like a unusual way to like that it's usually a Bachelor of Arts.
Yeah, different
That's so
schools.
interesting.
I don't know which is more popular, but I know it's different at different schools, or it was at the time anyway. You know, different depending on which school. And I appreciated that St. Peter's offered it as a science.
Yeah. So how long after you guys graduated did you get married?
Let me think. We got married 2001. We'll be married 20 years this September. We actually got married
Wow,
just
congratulations.
less than 2 weeks after 9/11.
And we got engaged on campus.
Yeah. So let me think.
Oh, wow.
What was that? 4 years after? 3 years after? I can't do any math right now, but graduated in 98. We were married in 2001. Yeah. And he proposed in the quad in
Right
front
in
of
front of Mary.
there was a statue of Mary like outside the library.
Oh,
There.
yes, it's still there. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right in front of that statue.
Right.
Yeah. After a nice dinner. And
Wow.
so,
That's so cute. I love that. So that was when you proposed, that was when you were a senior?
no, we had already graduated. So
Yeah, I had just finished law school.
so he graduated in 97,
Oh.
graduated in 98, and then we got engaged in 2000. So 2 years after that.
And so
Actually, we didn't really start dating
why were you back?
until after college. Like you know, we met different people. We were friends throughout college, but I think we really started dating after you had, maybe my senior year after you had graduated. Yeah.
Oh, so you kept in contact.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow, I imagine that was harder back then with no like texting.
Yes, he had to actually come see me, pick me up, all that sort of stuff. Call, talk on the phone.
Yeah. So tell me the story about your engagement.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what we went to dinner in what was that place called? I can't remember the name of the restaurant now. There was a really nice rooftop bar in Hoboken.
Right. And our mutual friend who still works at St. Peter's, Jen Reimer,
I know her.
I told Lauren that I needed to stop by St. Peter's because I was able to purchase some discount Broadway show tickets from Jan. And we walked through the quad, and then I said, hey, why don't we just take a seat here? And sat in front of Mary, and I started to tell her how much I loved her and what have you. And next thing I know, I got down on one knee, and here we are. Though
Wow.
she'll tell you that she had a feeling because I had the box with the ring in my pants, and she could see the bulge. And I had a feeling that's.
I was like, Jan, you sure?
Very like deductive reasoning.
There's that science background.
Wow. So then 1 year later you got married?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I guess you planned it, and then 9/11 happened. And
Yeah, so we had
you
been
just-
planning a wedding that whole year, and our wedding date was September 22nd of 2001, and obviously 9/11 happened on the 11th, and it was a really bizarre day. I remember thinking, like, are we still going to be able to get married? Will that happen? And some people did, you know, there were people who called off their weddings around that time because nobody could travel. There was people, you know, that planes were grounded for a handful of days following. But we were very fortunate. Oh, and my bachelorette party got canceled. We were supposed to go into the city. My had a bunch of things planned, and New York City was literally closed the weekend after 9/11. Like, you couldn't go in the whole city. So we were lucky though that everybody was able to come to our wedding. I don't think we were missing any guests.
Wow.
And it was
Okay.
really, I think everybody appreciated being together in a way that we hadn't anticipated appreciating it. So that kind of made the whole event pretty meaningful. It was a
Yeah.
little surreal in the days following. We went on our honeymoon. We left the next morning, the 23rd, for Aruba, and we got on an airplane, and we were two of maybe 10 people on the airplane.
On a huge plane.
On a full-size commercial
Wow.
jet to Aruba. We were spread out, each of us had our own aisle, we could lie down, but it was really, really surreal to get on an airplane. Just however 11, 12 days after 9/11. So that, yeah. And we actually, you probably can't see it. We have a picture of the Twin Towers in our office now.
Wow. That's incredible. I could totally see. I mean, I feel like gathering in one place, even now when like people are able to do it more, it feels so much more meaningful after like experiencing like what we all have experienced for the
Right.
past year.
The pandemic, that's it, you take things for granted until they're missing, unfortunately. And so it did give a new perspective on things for us. And we were both in Jersey City on 9/11.
I had just started I clerked for a judge for a year and had started working at a law firm for about 7 days when the incident occurred. And you could see the towers from my office, you could see them from Lauren's office. And there were a number of support staff that worked at the firm whose relatives were Jersey City firefighters and police officers. And, when the news first came out, you thought maybe it was a small, personal plane or something that was misdirected, but then the second one hit and, the office pretty much shut down, and the support staff was just hysterical, crying. I had a buddy who worked right on the waterfront of Jersey City, and I was watching it, I'm talking to him, he's actually watching the second plane come into view of his office as I'm watching it happen on TV. It was crazy.
And I was working down at Christ Hospital, which is right on the Palisade there on Palisade Avenue in Jersey City. And so I was driving as the first plane hit, and I saw the second plane hit. I was in the parking lot, and they set up like a command center down at Liberty State Park, and they sent down a team. I was on this team of it's a combination of medical professionals and mental health professionals, and we drove ourselves down to Liberty State Park, and they stationed us in, I don't know, there's a restaurant down there called Liberty House. At the time it was being built, so it was just like an empty structure. It didn't have any walls or anything yet. It's just sort of a foundation and a roof. And they set up, ambulances came from everywhere. Ambulances like from all over the East Coast. So they were lined up as far as the eye could see. And they were waiting to, there were EMTs waiting to treat people, but there were nobody needing medical attention. You either walked away or you didn't walk away. So there was a really big need as they were, ferrying people across the river for mental health. And there was not very many of us in mental health down there because they were anticipating it being much more of a much more medical treatment rather than mental health treatment. So we did our best to redirect people. We didn't, we were in it ourselves and wasn't even sure where we were directing people to, but there were a few places, I think the Boys and Girls Club and a couple hotels housing people. So we redirected them there, and it was, I'm grateful to have been a part of it in that way, but it's still a very surreal experience to look back on and then put in the context of our wedding a few days later. Wild.
Yeah, how did you guys decide, or how did I guess it feel just shifting from like that huge like traumatic experience from everyone to like, most people would call like one of the happiest days of their lives. Like, what was it like navigating all of those emotions at once?
Yeah, complicated.
Alcohol helped a lot.
No, but I think it was really like accessing that gratitude, right? Like, so to be able to say, okay, we're going to be together and we're going to allow ourselves to be happy even amidst this sadness, with a real attention to how much we appreciate the fact that, you know, our friends and family could be together. And I think our friends and family were really happy to have something to celebrate, something positive too, because it had been a long week, those days following 9/11. So I think it was nice for everybody to have.
It was a release.
Something upbeat. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can totally imagine everyone needing something to celebrate. And just a reminder of like how valuable everyone in your life is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you guys stayed in, or well, I guess how long after you got married did you have children? And then did you move? Where did you live?
So we got married in 2001 and we bought a 2-family home in Maplewood, New Jersey with actually with a cousin of mine. So he lived upstairs, we lived downstairs. And we had the first 2 children in that house. We had my oldest daughter was born in 2004. And then we had another baby not even 2 years later. So 2005, my middle daughter was born. And then we started to outgrow our 2-family house and we now have a single family home in Maplewood. And we have a 3rd daughter who's now 10. And we're still very close to my cousin. He also still lives in Maplewood, the one we bought the house with. So he's nearby as well. And I was lucky I got to live with another cousin on campus at St. Peter's. I was there at the same time as 2 of my cousins who were born and raised in Jersey City. And so I've had luck in living with my extended family. It's fun.
That's really fun. So you had your sister and your cousins there?
Yeah, it's my
wow.
Sister. Yep. And actually I have 2 aunts who went to St. Peter's I guess that was late 60s would have been that. Yeah. So actually St. Peter's was known to me in that sense as well. And they both still live in Jersey City.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're like a St. Peter's family. Do you think your daughters would go there?
I don't know. So my oldest is a junior in high school now, and she's starting to look around, and she does want to go to a Catholic college. She's thinking, and we love the Jesuit tradition. I think the Jesuits, they embrace all the things about Catholicism that we love, and they, think critically about social justice issues and things like that. So I would love to see her at the Jesuit institution, but we'll see what she picks. It's her, that's her journey.
So how has, I guess, St. Peter's played a role with your, like, the rest of your family? Like, what has been its presence just like in your like extended family's life as well?
We brought the kids back to St. Peter's, to the campus a few times, so they have a sense of what's there. And I think that it's a nice exposure to that, like, we're in the suburbs here in Maplewood. They're not far out suburbs, but they're suburbs nonetheless. So it's fun for them to kind of see where our relationship started and get a taste. And Jersey City's changed a lot since we've been students there. And lots of, awesome improvements there.
The campus has changed.
The campus has changed. There was no,
Millennium Mall.
The footbridge, no,
yeah.
Right, and Millennium Mall wasn't there either, but I remember them trying to build the pedestrian bridge over Kennedy Boulevard.
Oh, that wasn't there?
No. It was that was one of the things when I was student body president that we were really focusing in on. And actually, one of Lauren's cousins got hit by a car.
He did.
He wasn't injured, or else they wouldn't be laughing. But
laundry back to Wayland Hall.
Right. So I kind of used that as my exhibit A for why we need to have this pedestrian bridge. And then
definitely,
the county, the state, and St. Peter's got together and collaborated and financed it. So I was actually on the board of trustees for 9 years at St. Peter's after I graduated. Father Lochran, who was the president, who actually became the president the year I was a student body president. I got to know him quite well. And I'm losing my train of thought.
No, I don't know where you were going with that.
I don't know either.
The board of trustees.
Oh, yes. So I brought it up to him a few times about this need for it.
Oh,
But
pedestrian bridge.
for the pedestrian bridge. But Father Lochran was a tremendous asset to St. Peter's. A lot of the things that are coming to fruition now, he was really the impetus and the person, the designer that came up with some of the changes that have now come, and the students now get to enjoy.
Mhm.
Oh, I feel like that street is crazy. It's amazing that you were a part of building that. So needed.
So needed, yes. Do people use it? I remember them debating, like, are the kids really gonna walk up the stairs or are they just gonna run across anyway?
People do, and always breaking. So like it's always like campus safety is to like come and save them.
That's funny. Well, I'm glad it's there as a safe option to cross that street.
So are there any more figures, like you mentioned Father Lochran, who stand out to you that you met during your time at St. Peter's?
For me, one of the political science professors that I had, Anna Brown, Dr. Anna Brown,
Oh,
and she's great. But if you looked at where I came from politically, philosophically, growing up down the Jersey Shore to coming to St.
mhm.
Peter's, she exposed me to so many different.
Yeah.
I found myself getting involved in some of the Pax Christi type events. They didn't have the social justice house that they have now on campus, but she has and always will be a social justice warrior. And I remember taking a feminist political theory course with her, which was completely eye-opening. You just take things for granted as a white male in our society. And she kind of like, again, gets back to that critical thinking about why are structures and different concepts the way they are in society. And she really made you not only question what you thought was the answer, but different ways to look at it, which I really appreciated. And I'm friends with her on Facebook still today. So occasionally, if I see something that they're doing with the social justice group on campus, I'll send her a quick note. But she's dynamic.
She is. I just want her.
Yeah, definitely.
And in my major, I worked closely with Dr. Bonato. I don't know if he's still there. He might still be there. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, he's still there.
But he gave the students a lot of research opportunities. He was conducting a lot of research at the time, and he really let his students get pretty deeply engaged. I remember we presented some of his research at a conference. He took us up to Boston. Him and Dr. Brubka took us up to a national conference up in Boston, and that again helped me really like root my profession in research and in science, even though the things he was studying it was non-clinical stuff. It was sensation and perception, sort of psychology, so different from what I'm practicing, but I think it really gave me a strong foundation again for that science base. And then bringing us to those national conferences was also kind of mind expanding and taught me to network and socialize and talk about what we were learning and ask questions. And that was really exciting. And to this day, every time I attend a conference, I think back to those early conferences, and I'm so grateful that I had that experience.
Yeah, I think it's such a testament that so many of the people you're talking about are still at St. Peter's.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so how have you guys, you mentioned that you were on the board of trustees. How have you guys, I guess, kept in contact or been involved in St. Peter's since graduation?
Well, we regularly attend alumni events, financially support the mission of the university. And I have a hard time calling it university because it was St. Peter's College when we were there.
Oh, Yeah.
Still have a sweatshirt that says college. I almost wore it, but it's like a little ratty looking. So
I actually bought
Like
this
an antique.
polo shirt that has the St. Peter's University thing, just as my introduction to calling it a university. But no, I attend a number of the athletic events that are on campus. And again, our friend Jan is still on campus. So when have to appear in court in Hudson County, a lot of times I'll stop by, visit Jan, visit Dave Bringle in the rec center.
is he still there too?
Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah, and I know that the Yanatelli Center is undergoing this massive renovation now, and I've been following that on the social media. So that's really how I've kept in touch.
Yeah,
That's
I was
awesome.
visiting the campus and supporting. We've also there's a scholarship fund. Actually, I felt like I should mention this, but my uncle, whose children and wife both went to St. Peter's, my two cousins were there with me, and his wife went to St. Peter's in the 60s. He started a scholarship fund. I think it's called the Remley Fund. It's named after his brother-in-law. And it's specifically for students struggling with mental health issues or facing that, overcoming, not necessarily struggling, maybe overcoming mental health issues. And so it's an opportunity for that. I forget the amount they offer each year, but we try to support that. And I think that's something that's also near and dear to my heart because it ties into the profession and the work I do. Yeah, and so that's one way we stay connected.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so amazing that you guys have just been able to be part of the community so consistently.
We try. It's a nice community.
How would you say, I guess, overall, that being a student of Jesuit education has impacted your life?
I think the big thing is the service, for our fellow men and women. Just that whole sense of caring and, the idea of helping people, and if you have the ability to raise them up, it really takes the collective to have a peaceful and a strong society. So I think that is the things that you really, it may not even be taught in a book, but the sense is the feeling you get when you're on campus at St. Peter's and interacting with the faculty, the staff, the different organizations on campus. The idea that, you're not the center of the universe. If you can do something to help someone else, it's really your obligation to do so.
Yeah, I would say anything, that idea of being men and women for others was weaved into everything at St. Peter's. It was weaved into the academic curriculum, the extracurriculars, just campus life, and that's something that I think has shaped who we are, or we try to be at least. And that really, yes, there's an obligation to lift others up, but really it's like we're in it with everybody, and it's lifting us up to do that kind of work. And any work you do, if you approach it with that lens of service, it just makes it a more meaningful task, I think. And so we're grateful for that, for sure.
And why do you think that St. Peter's is just like an important institution of learning, like especially now?
I would say partly, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the idea that they continue to have a lot of first generation college students. I think that's really, really important. And, as we start this college journey with our oldest, when you look at the price tags on some schools, and it feels so prohibitive, and we're two well-educated adults with full-time jobs working hard, and it still feels so overwhelming. So for someone who might be, a first generation American, or whose parents never went to college, I think there needs to be spaces that create real opportunity. And St. Peter's is one of those spaces. So I think that's unique in them as an institution, and really, really valuable in our world today.
I agree.
Definitely. She said it. Well, those are all my questions, but is there anything I didn't ask about that you guys want to talk about or add?
I don't think so. Can you think of anything?
No.
You did such a how
All right.
your experience at St. Peter's? Do you like it?
I love St. Peter's. I'm also have a St. Peter's family. My dad works in the library, so
Oh,
and I
right.
worked in the library for a while too, so we were coworkers.
That's awesome. I actually have one sister who is a librarian. That's her job. She has a master's in library science. And my oldest is thinking of becoming a librarian. She wants to study library science.
That's so cool. I feel like librarians are so important.
Very, very important. Yeah, even in today's digital age, right? There's still such a need for our brick-and-mortar libraries. So that's very cool.
I would say even more so. There's just so much information. You need like someone to help filter all of it.
Exactly.
And piece it together.
Cool. Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can't think of anything else, but yeah.
It was so nice talking to you guys. I really, really enjoyed it. I learned so much.
Me too.
Our pleasure.
And it definitely made me feel like since I'm graduating, I'm like, oh man, like St. Peter's.
We look back on those times very fondly, and I hope that you will too. And definitely stay connected. It's a wonderful community and a really like special, unique place that I think different from many other people's college experiences, but really, really valuable. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's definitely how I feel as well.
Whatever's coming next for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
It was so nice meeting you both.
Enjoy the
Have a
rest of
good
your weekend.
day.
Okay.
Bye-bye.